I'm Dr. Amber Wright, and this is Say More, a podcast for accomplished women who want more honesty in the way they live, love, and lead. This is a space for us to explore the questions that shape our lives and deepen our connections with ourselves and each other. If you're finally ready to reclaim the parts of yourself you've given away to everything and everyone else, you're in the right place. It's time to choose yourself. It's time to say more. Hey friend, welcome back to another episode of Say More with Dr. Amber. I have had such a good time having these conversations with you, and thank you for all of your feedback and your comments and responses as we have been on this journey together so far of reclaiming the parts of ourselves that we have given away to all the people and things of our lives. And we're going to keep the party going before we get ready to round out the season here. But today's episode is, it's going to be touchy, and not because I'm trying to, scare you into anything or make you cry or be dramatic or anything like that. But I think it just feels touchy for me because this is a place that I know that I am in, and just talking about it out loud to strangers is, it's a little vulnerable, okay? It's got your girl a little vulnerable, but it's okay because I'm on my own growth journey. I'm here as a voice of reason and support and the life coach in your head, literally, as you're listening to this in your car, on your walk, or on your treadmill, or however you're listening. Thank you for listening, first off. But second, as you've heard me say, if you've made it this far into the season, that I want to see you grow. I want to help you close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. I want to help you cross the bridge of knowing to speaking your truth. And that means that we have to talk about some hard things. And I'm in that journey too, on my own, in my own way, I think I should say. So what I want to talk about today is outgrowing your life. What to do when you outgrow your life or you don't quite recognize the person that you're becoming, and you're in that in-between space and it feels uncomfortable because you know who you used to be and you welcome who you're becoming, but you don't fully recognize her yet. What does that mean? Or him? What does that mean? And what does that look like? As always, I don't have the answers necessarily, but I think it's worth talking about because, as I always say, I see this a lot in my coaching sessions, and that's what this podcast is about, is this extension of these sessions and these conversations that I'm having with these really brilliant and amazing and accomplished women who are literally in the middle. I describe my clients as being high achieving public facing women on the brink of their next level. So, if your next level is approaching, it can feel a little nerve wracking. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And these are the symptoms of growth. How you know you're growing is when you look up one day or you wake up one day and nothing about your life seems to suit you. Olivia Dean says that in her song, Lady, Lady. All the things that I've worn before don't suit me anymore. Overnight, the things I've always worn don't suit me anymore. You just, that song is really that'll be a good kind of soothing blanket to listen to after this episode. This is on some lady vibes because she's talking about literally this, just when you change and it can feel sudden, but it happens incrementally. And you're just like, oh my God, my life is so different now. What do I do? And it's a really beautiful record. So anyway, how to recognize when you're growing is again, like I was saying just now, you look up and nothing just, it's like, is this it? Is this all there is? Is there more? And we started the season talking about what happens after you've checked all the boxes that you had planned for your life, or what happens after you run the race that someone put you on, or you have done all the things that you thought you were supposed to do or that you should do. What happens then? And so it can be really uncomfortable just coming into that place of awareness because when you evolve and when you grow, like from doing your work, you going to therapy, doing your journaling, all your things, and there's so many modalities and approaches to healing. But whatever that journey looked like for you, you also outgrow beliefs, you outgrow people, and most importantly, you outgrow versions of yourself that used to feel like home. You were comfortable in some respects, chasing your goals and chasing your dreams. And you wanted that. You wanted to climb the ladder. So maybe you weren't just doing what people said that you should do. Maybe you were also like, I wanted this life. And you went and got it, but it didn't fulfill you the way that you thought it would. And now that whisper has become a roar, as you know, I like to say, and the roar is keeping you up at night because you're grappling for answers on how to get comfortable again. But it's in that place of discomfort that you can avoid it. That's where the answers lie. It's getting comfortable in that discomfort and sitting down crisscross applesauce on the floor in the middle of that transition. Still moving forward, yes, but taking your time to really get to know the new version of yourself that is emerging and to hear her out and to get to know what it is that she needs. So that way you can live according to that. And then you can also help the people in your life understand how to engage with her. So that process and that experience, though, I just want to name, can feel like mourning. You just might have brain fog, or you just don't have clarity. You can't really make decisions confidently. You're just not sure. And a lot of times that looks like grief. There's grief in becoming someone new, even when it's born out of good growth. You have to also let go of the dreams that you thought that you had or how you thought your life was going to unfold. And that's hard. I think I just want to name that that's hard. And I'm taking my time even as I'm talking about this because I'm playing the tape in my mind of how that's also played out for me. And, again, for some of my clients, I have really had to. I remember going through therapy with my husband many years ago, and the therapist had asked me, did I grieve over my marriage not turning out the way that I thought it would? You walk into marriage with so many ideas and ideals about what it's supposed to be and look like and how it's supposed to go. And when it doesn't happen that way, and that can be true whether they were fantasies or somebody told you the truth about what their marriage was like, you can kind of also go into it with clarity and understanding that it's not all like butterflies and roses all the time. And even with that knowing, though, if it unfolds in a way that you just didn't think was going to happen for you, that can be hard. And so I had to sit with that and learn how to grieve over the version of my marriage that I had in my mind that didn't manifest, and also grieve who I used to be in the marriage and also who he used to be. And when you've been with somebody as long as we've been together, you're going to do that many times. You're going to do that so many times because you're going to grow, they're growing, growth is happening. And as it's happening, you've got to learn how to stay acquainted with each other and continue to learn how to introduce yourself to your partner as your new self. And that is a skill. It takes time. And sometimes we just don't have the words and we don't have the skill set with which to do that. And some marriages don't survive those types of transitions. But that's what ends up happening, though. In some cases, the new version of you that emerges, they have different needs. They want different things. And maybe now your goals and dreams just don't align as partners. And it can feel insurmountably sad to confront that if you don't know what to do about that. Or maybe it was with your middle school bestie that you thought you would always be friends with your whole life. And now suddenly, that song, now you're just somebody that I used to know. You're just strangers now. That's also happened to me too. I had a very close friend. When the friendship ended, it was like we were strangers. It was like we had never had all of the memories that we had had together. And sometimes, people will say that a friendship breakup can, break you down harder than a romantic, because men come and go. Okay. But friends, you hope that they stay forever. But the truth is they don't. And relationships change and they evolve. And sometimes, the friendships just don't survive those evolutions as well, which can be hard. We can be in different seasons of our lives. I know in my case, I was the first of my friend group to get married and to have kids. And so I had to, reevaluate what community meant to me, because my needs were different as I started my family and my life just unto itself began to grow. So maybe you take a job abroad and you have to make new friends and find community in a new city. That can be hard too. So it doesn't mean that your relationships that you have always had to end because you moved, but they did change because because you're in a different time zone now and you don't get to talk as often. So there's so many different scenarios in which what I'm talking about can unfold. It's not just only relegated to romantic love, but for me, that has been the centerpiece of my growth, because I've spent all of my adult life pretty much in the container of this relationship. And so all of the and that's not something now that I can say that I really appreciate about my husband and about my marriage and our relationship, is that he's gotten to know all the different versions of me that have emerged in this relationship, all this time that we've been together. And he has committed to love everyone. And that means something to me. That's valuable to me, because he has seen me at my very worst and also at my very best and every moment in between. And again, that matters. And it can feel comforting, but then also disorienting when you're like going through that process. And so something that I just want to iterate to you is that you are allowed to want something different than what you once wanted. And I don't know that we say that enough out loud. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to want something new, but you've got to know what that is. Even if you're just open to exploring it, maybe you don't know with certainty and conviction of what it is that you're seeking, but you just know that you want something different. Your work is to explore what that means and to be honest with yourself about that, so you can be honest with the people around you and help them walk through the transition with you as it's a solo journey, but also kind of inform and explain, like, this is what I feel is happening to me. And this is why I'm speaking up differently. And this is why my asks of you are different now, because I'm different. And again, in the context of romantic love, just doing the sheer math, I got married when I was 25. I'm 45 years old now. So what I needed in my 20s is completely different than what I need now, and what I needed in my 30s as well, which will be different in my 50s and my 60s, right? Like, that's just how life goes. But I want to call out how scary it can be when you really do begin to do this work. And I had someone tell me once that she was trying to get her husband to do all the same things that she was doing and that she was into, because she wanted him to take the same journey that she was taking. And I was like, but that's not for you to determine. Everybody's journey is different. And what is it that's underneath why you're trying to like pressure him to do the things that you're doing? And she said, once we chipped away at it, she said, it's because I'm afraid that if I continue on the journey that I'm on and I evolve and like bloom and blossom into the woman that I feel like I'm becoming, that he's not going to want to be in this with me anymore. So we had to talk about how that's a real reality. Maybe who you become doesn't align with what he wants in a partner, but you can't rob him of that choice to say, yes, I want to choose to be in relationship with you. Nor can you rob yourself, your current self or your future self, of the opportunity to be that because of fear and because you're afraid of what you think you might lose. You can also choose to think about what you might gain as well, because you don't know what's on the other side of this journey for you. But what you do know is that you're going to be different, and an investment in yourself and in your growth is the best investment that you can make. Let me also disclaim here, I'm not trying to tell nobody to leave their husband, leave their wife, leave their job, leave their marriage. You're not finna go and be like, Dr. Amber told me I need to quit. No, ma'am. Okay, we're not doing that. The thing is, you already know. You don't even need me to tell you. You know. You know what's on your heart and what's calling and beckoning you into something more, something different or greater. You're just afraid. So hearing me say this, you might feel like, let me turn this off. I can't even do this right now with this lady because it's bucking up against what you already know to be true. You just don't know what to do about it. And trust me, friend, I have been there. I have cried myself to sleep so many nights over the years in trying to reconcile my unhappiness in my marriage and like not knowing what to do about it. And there's other circumstances where that has come to play as well. Like I remember fretting about quitting a job once because I had never quit a job without having another one lined up. But I just knew I couldn't stay. I couldn't. That job was bleeding me dry. It was like sucking me dry of any kind of joy or delight or happiness. And I had the Sunday scaries and that, the bubble guts in your stomach on Sunday night before you have to go in on Monday morning, that utter sense of dread when you swipe your ID card and you hear that stupid beep beep sound and you have to walk to your, like, I've been there. I knew I had to leave. I just didn't know what to do. And so anyway, the point here is that you've got to learn how to create space for who you're becoming. And this is something that I told a client recently. She knew in her gut it was time to leave her job. She had been there well over a decade and it just wasn't really helping her grow anymore. And she just felt like it's time. And that's what I told her. I said, what is the truth that you know is true, but you're not saying? And she was like, I know that it's time. She just needed the acknowledgement of what her truth was. And that's what takes the boogeyman out from underneath the bed. And then from there, you can start thinking about, okay, and what is my plan? So I told her, you don't have to quit tomorrow. You can know what your truth is. And it doesn't mean that you have to change your whole life overnight. But now you know what your plan is. Maybe you plan to leave in a year from now. And you take that time between now and then to prepare for that choice. But don't let the fear of making the choice stall you out from making the space, like creating the space for the version of you that is dying to come through and to bloom and blossom and come alive. So make space. Because again, you're going to start to see, once you decide what you really want, it's going to shake up everything. It's going to shake the table. You just got to be prepared for that. And sometimes that just looks like understanding that people are going to respond to you differently. You won't be as available as you used to be. When I was in my doctoral program, that was honestly the first time. I used to pride myself on how available I was to my friends. They want to talk, I'm available. They want to cry, I'm available. They want to pray, I'm available. Like always just 24-hour access to me. Not literally, but you know what I mean. And I was so busy and so overwhelmed in my doctoral program. It was 3 years of intense work. I moved across the country at the same time and raising small kids and just running my business. And I had a job during that time too. There was so much on my plate. I didn't have the capacity to be as available as I used to be for my friends. And I also didn't have the capacity to be concerned about that. I had to tell them, hey, I might not answer the phone. You may not hear back from me for a couple of days. And everybody had to be okay with that. But more so, I had to be okay with that. Dr. Amber was becoming somebody who was going to be somebody who wasn't as available to her friends the way that she used to be. And I just had to anticipate that and allow space for that. Because the truth of the matter is, growth requires space. It's like a plant in a pot. Once it grows, you've got to move it to a new pot. And there's going to be dirt that crumbles and hits the ground as you're making that transfer. But that's what's necessary for you to be in the bigger pot because you've grown. The pot you were in before just does not fit you anymore. And you've got to be okay with that. You've got to accept that because you can't step into the new version of yourself while clinging to your old life. That's what perpetuates the fear. It's like, who am I going to be if I don't let go of these things, if I don't have this job title, if I'm not in a relationship with this person anymore? if I'm not in communication with my parents anymore because I went no contact, or if I'm not such and such's best friend anymore. All of these things that we cling to, if I don't go to the same gym or eat the same foods because I changed my diet for my health, whatever that means, whatever that looks like for you, if you're holding on so tightly and, what they call white knuckling, even though we black, I'm black. Okay, so I don't have white knuckles, but you get it. If you're white knuckling, holding on, gripping so tightly, God can't bless you with what he intends for you because your hands are closed. So you have to release and let go. And that might mean ending relationships, leaving jobs, and changing routines that no longer align and fit with who you are and who you are becoming. And I know that it's scary, but man, I'm reporting live, as I like to say, from the other side of that kind of growth. I love the new pot that I'm in right now. I love it. Right on the other side of we'll say a good 4 to 5 year period of massive, massive construction in my personal life, and revamping and renegotiating and reevaluating. Some deaths were quiet of friendships, some were loud, a lot of changes across the board. But it was all in service to the woman that's talking to you now. I can only talk to you with the certainty and the clarity that I have because I was willing to trade the beauty for the ashes that were left on my face after I was stood in the fire of honoring my truth. So creating space for you might be uncomfortable, but it's okay, because who you're becoming deserves that room to exist and to grow and to thrive. I'm proud of you for even thinking about it, for even allowing yourself to think about what more could be possible for yourself, and for doing the work to grow. Do you know how many people go to their graves without ever having done their work, telling themselves the same stories over and over again in their minds about how nobody loved them and they weren't seen, or they were abandoned, or whatever the case may be. And they never thought that it could be possible to write a new story. But you, my dear, the pen is in your hand, and you get to write how the story maybe not ends, because nobody can predict the future, but you get to put together the script of the life that you desire to live as you are navigating the gap between who you used to be and who you are becoming. Don't be afraid of outgrowing your life. Be excited about the new one that awaits you. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you soon. Love you, mean it. Bye. Thanks for listening to Say More. If this episode hit home for you, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another one. And don't forget to share it with your group chat so all of y'all can level up together. If you want personalized support about today's topic, visit wordswellsaid.com to learn more about how to work with me for coaching, or how you can book me to speak at your job, conference, or event. In the meantime, keep in touch with me online at Dr. Amber Wright. And until you hear from me again, remember to use your words and then go forth and be awesome.